not going to win very many games. So keep that in mind when you're talking about outreach and getting your tape done early and getting it put together correctly. That is critical in the recruiting process, specifically for a quarterback, okay? Because they want to build those relationships over a couple years, preferably. Does it happen like that all the time? No. But a lot of times, the later you get started and the later you get that tape to them, and they don't feel like they have a really great relationship with you, or don't really know you as well, sometimes that can hurt you.
How to Get a College Football Scholarship, a series where we evaluate active high school football players, break down their game film, reorder it so that when they send it to college coaches, coaches actually watch it and respond back to them. We let them know at the end with the big reveal what divisions they have the best chance of earning a scholarship in, and then most importantly, what they need to do to get to the next level. And joining me today is our head football coach here at Next Play, Brian Overton, who has 15 years of Division One recruiting experience. So, Brian, excited to do this evaluation today. But share with me, who do we got today? Give us a rundown of who we're evaluating.
So we got a 2026 quarterback today. We hadn't done I don't know if we've done a quarterback in a while. So
I don't
excited
think
to
we
do
have.
this
Yeah.
one. Dive in. I get a lot of questions on quarterbacks just in general, whether, we're working with kids or just in general, even like from my buddies, that I played with and things like that. Their sons coming up playing quarterback. So you get a lot of questions about quarterbacks. So it's good that we can do this one and share some things. But again, he's a 2026, a little over 6 feet tall, probably 6'1", about 175 pounds. Um, Good young player, and has a unique highlight tape, that I'll talk about as we go through it. And like always, I'll tell you kind of, give you the full gist of it so everybody knows exactly what we did with this tape in general. What we're not showing, I always think that's important to kind of tell them some things we told them that we're not showing. And he's a two-way player, not a heavy two-way player, but he does play a little bit of defense, play some DB for him a little bit. So he kind of had some of that stuff mixed in there. So we had him grouped. He will be. I think he'll definitely be evaluated as a quarterback, but he wanted to leave some of that. He did have some good plays in there on defense too. Wanted to leave some of that in there, but we had him group all those together, put the offensive stuff in the beginning, and then group the defensive plays there at the end in a good order. And also, which I am going to share with you, felt like he could, get some more bang for his buck early in the tape with some plays that I'm going to share with you now. And we also had him add a information slide, which is um, very popular. A suggestion that we give quite a bit. It's just, it's not done very much. It can help you out a lot. It doesn't take very long to put together and add to your tape, and can help you a ton. So those are the big things we had to move around there.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Let's break it down, man.
All
I'm
right.
excited for this one.
So we're
And
going to
and
jump.
and also like Brian said here, when we do an evaluation for a high school football player, it's not what you're seeing here, right? What we're doing here is just kind of showing you how we go about the process and doing it. What we deliver to each individual family that gets an evaluation is not this, right? So I just
Much
want to
more
be clear on
detailed.
that. I think
Yeah.
yeah. But go ahead, Brian. Let's
Yeah.
let's break it
Much,
down.
much more detailed in the full evaluation. So we'll start right here. So I paused it on his first play again to give everybody some context. I like this first play. The ones that I'm gonna share with you after, I wanted him to move up after this one. Okay. I'll just let this first play run here. This was the very first one on this tape. It's obviously a drop back that he's going to get out of the pocket and scramble here. And the reason I like keeping this one first is it showed his athleticism and his toughness. You kind of see he put his shoulder down there, just kind of ran over the guy, and he just showed a little wiggle. He showed that he could extend plays, get out of the pocket when he gets a little pressure, or if he just sees green grass. I think he just saw a lot of green grass here, decided to make a play. Didn't go down, didn't slide. I'm not going to say that's the ideal thing to do as a quarterback, but it does show toughness and athleticism. So I was perfectly okay. And he put the ball in the end zone. Scoring touchdowns is huge. If you watch enough of these, whether it's quarterback, skill guys, I love showing that they can put the ball in the end zone. And for quarterbacks, it's about being able to, whether you're running with your feet like that, being able to put it in the end zone, or when the opportunity presents itself to make a good throw, and get your team in the end zone. Those are important to coaches when they're evaluating the tape. So then I'm going to skip down here to 39 seconds.
Hey, Brian,
Yeah,
real quick, I want to chat with you about this because obviously we both look at a lot of game film. And with the quarterbacks, remember we were like, man, this kid's it's a 5+ star quarterback, and every throw he just catches it and throws a fade, right?
right.
Super common. Or they're always running it, right? But like, whose game film I watched and I was like, man, this is really good. Was Austin Simmons.
Uh,
He's gonna be the next quarterback at Ole Miss. But when you watch him, like he'll scramble and move, but instead of just always running, he'll scramble, move, boom, and then throw like a dart, like a laser, really
yeah,
good pass. And to me, when I'm evaluating a quarterback, I it's great when they can run, and I think they should have it on there. Uh, but what are your how do you, when it comes to evaluating for you? How do you go about evaluating a kid though that can move like more Mahomes, right? Where he could run it if he has to, but he's not just always anytime he gets pressure just taking off,
yeah.
but also being able to sit in the pocket and throw dimes.
Yeah. I literally just had this conversation with one of the guys we're working with his dad like 2 days ago. It's in today's college football, it's like I told him, there's not a lot of, elite athletes and guys that can play quarterback. I'm talking about that have the skill throwing the football and things like that. Like there's not a lot of Lamar Jacksons running around and people, and
No.
that's a top of the tier example, but I think people get what I'm saying. But what is evaluated, a little bit like what you said, higher at a higher level now than really ever before because the defenses are getting better and the athletes are getting better. They just want you to be able to stay out of 2nd and 16, right? That if you get a little pressure, they want you to be able to move around enough back there where you can avoid the pressure. And like you said, keep your eyes down the field, make an accurate throw, and make a positive play, or scramble around, run out of bounds for 2 yards, and it's 2nd and 8, and it's not 2nd and 16. With you just being a statue back there getting sacked. So you don't have to go out there and put up these gaudy numbers, being able to run really, really fast, or make a ton of people, and stuff like that. You just got to be a good enough athlete to be able to have some pocket presence and move around back there and still try to keep your team out of negative plays. That's what's evaluated really heavily as far as like athleticism and things like that. But then if you put runs on there, where you can really do it, like, what I mean, and be a threat and really put some pressure on the defense with your legs, that's obviously an added bonus, right? But the reason it's evaluated that way is because at the end of the day, right? If you can't deliver the ball accurately on time and push the ball down the field in college football, it's hard to play quarterback. All right. And so the arm talent, the accuracy, things like that, the playmaking ability is always going to be evaluated higher at most times, depending on the system. Now there's some systems out there where they'll sacrifice some, like, with the throwing mechanics or the arm strength and things like that, because their system is built in a way where they're going to run you a bunch. Now that's totally different, but for the most part, you still have to have those other intangibles, throwing the football combined with the ability not to be able to get sacked every time they bring pressure, and have some playmaking ability and some off schedule ability that you can make some plays on the move, such as the guy you're talking about. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I said I was okay with that first play, because right out of the gate it shows. And again, I always was big on toughness at quarterback. I like tough quarterbacks. Most people do. And while, like, again, that's not ideal when you get in college, they're probably gonna have him slide, or maybe they won't. But he ran
Right.
over the guy. He found a way to get it in the end zone. So I think that's a great starter. At playing quarterback on his tape, and I had no problem with starting with that. So. Um, but then we're going to get into a couple plays here where I think he needed to move up behind this one, for a lot of reasons. So I just let it run here. This is the play at 39 seconds. So there was a few plays, beside that. I like this one. This was like a nice number 2 ball up and down, quick up and down throw. He kind of threw it off his back foot a little bit, but still threw it really accurately, and hit the guy in stride for a touchdown. And again, it presented itself for him to be able to do that, and he took advantage of it. He didn't underthrow him, he didn't overthrow. He hit him in stride
Right.
for a touchdown. And those things are evaluated really heavily because that does not always happen, at any level. So that's important.
Right. You're not noticing the receiver completely like go from full speed to half speed just to
Correct.
to let the ball fall in the basket.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna skip here up here to 142. I think I went too far here. Just a second. This one right here. So this one's a little more in the tight
Dude,
red
Brian,
zone.
Brian,
Yeah.
Brian, Brian, I for everyone watching, dude, look at the shirt that is on the screen right now.
Oh wow, I didn't even pay. I would never pay that. I was diving in the tape.
I no, I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Alright, anyways, keep going.
That's crazy.
That's great, dude.
Not endorsed. We're not endorsing that, by the way. Um,
No ads.
so I gotta get my train of thought. All right. So this is the next one I had him put on there. This is a little bit in the tight red zone. He kind of throws it off his back foot a little bit, and I'll get into some of that stuff here in a second. But I still really like the way he kept his head down the field in the tight red zone. That is a really tight window right there. That's why I liked it that
Right.
much. Okay, he puts this ball in a really tight window in double coverage, and this is a big deal. Again, he gives this guy a chance to make a play, and that's a huge, huge throw right there. Okay, and a lot of people get caught up in distance and things like that, and we're gonna have some of those on there. But that tight window throw like that, that's college football right there. Now you don't see them wide open in college football anymore very much. You'll see a blown coverage every now and then. But that was a really tight window throw down there in the tight red zone that put his team on the board. So I felt
Yeah,
like he needed to move that one up a little bit, and then I'm gonna head down here to 120. I'm gonna go back to 124. I actually missed one here because this is one here I like because it's showing arm strength. It's showing his vision on the field. Okay, look where he stops right here. He's on his right hash right now. He's going to land this ball right out here outside the numbers. Really accurately. And again, giving this guy a chance to catch and carry. Big time throw right there. Okay, if you want to talk
yeah,
about a throw that translates to college ball, this is one right here. All right, hash to the opposite number, dropped it in a bucket, and gave his guy a chance to catch and carry for a touchdown. Big time throw right there. Big time throw. And then the
mm,
last one I had to finish out his top 5 plays. This one was way down here at 304. Okay, so I'm gonna skip down here to 304. And again, I tried to mix up some deep balls with some tight red zone. Again, right here in the tight red zone, he kind of throws this ball here. This shows some instincts, right, and some football IQ. He throws this ball kind of almost before the guy gets out of the cut, and I mean puts it right on him. The ball's gone right here. He's throwing it. He's throwing him open down there in the tight red, and just another really really good throw down here in the tight red zone. Again, when he gets an opportunity, he puts it on him, and they score touchdowns. Okay. So those are the suggestions I had for him for those type throws. I think I like the. He's got a lot. He's got good stuff in there, guys. He's got over almost 4 minutes, 42 seconds, or whatever it is of tape. I think the last minute or so maybe is the defense. But I thought all his offensive plays like should have been in there. He's got some other touchdowns in there. But if you're talking specifics and things that are being evaluated at the next level, those things are important to get in the front of the tape. You know what I mean? Because sometimes they can trigger that box. If guys are checking boxes, the faster you can check them in the beginning of the tape, the better off, well, not the better off, but the better chance you have of them watching the rest of it. And so that's why I always try to pull plays, um, that are being heavily evaluated because of certain things, which I try to talk about here, that helps guys get the most bang for the buck out of the order of the tape.
yeah. Well, let me ask you this question though, because I don't know. I for this particular player, were there any plays? It's been a minute since I looked at it, but were there any plays that where he just dropped back, sat in the pocket, read the defense, and threw a strike over the middle? Not a bomb, not to the outside the
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah. I mean, he had some. I mean, when you say sit back and read the defense, you know what I mean. You never know, how he's being coached or anything. But he had some where he sat in there and just delivered the ball. Yeah, I consider this one of those. You know what I mean? Like,
But
he didn't have any
inside,
pressure.
in between the hashes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's got a lot of good throws in there. A lot of good throws in there.
Love that.
So but again, for the reasons I gave, and having evaluated a ton of quarterbacks, sat with a lot of different quarterback coaches and offensive coordinators and things like that. what I do here is I try to just combine all those things, and you know, I kind of have a list position specific wise. Um, After compiling all those thoughts, having sitting with all those guys, and there's some that are just very consistent, what they like to see on the tape. Because eventually, and with quarterback guys, again, this is a unique position. Okay. If they really like you, they're coming to see you. Okay. They're either coming to see you play, they're going to come to your high school, watch you throw. Okay. So they're going to see it in person. All right. The tape is to get them to your school or get them to your game. That's what it's for.
Get them
Okay.
on the call. Right.
So that's why we have them order it like that. Another thing I want you guys to remember, all you quarterback parents and athletes that are out there playing quarterback, obviously Colton's a 2026 here. That position is recruited much differently than any other position in college football. Okay, meaning that the relationships are built way further out. All right, they want to make sure they get this one right, and I'm not sure. I'm not saying they don't want to get the other positions right. That's not what I'm saying. But if you don't get this one right consistently, those guys are going to get fired. Okay. They're going to lose their job if they don't get the quarterback position right. Because if you don't have one, you cannot win. And Pop Warner, 7-on-7 flag. I don't care what you're playing, high school, college. If you don't have a good quarterback, you're not going to win very many games. So keep that in mind when you're talking about outreach and getting your tape done early and getting it put together correctly. That is critical in the recruiting process, specifically for a quarterback. Okay, because they want to build those relationships, over a couple of years. At least sometimes, preferably. Some does it happen like that all the time? No, but a lot of times, the later you get started and the later you get that tape to them, and they don't feel like they have a really great relationship with you, or don't really know you as well. Sometimes that can hurt you at quarterback.
Right. Okay. All right, cool. So what divisions are we looking at here?
So based on his tape, and again, he had a lot of other good throws in there. Like we always say, we don't show you the whole tape. He's got a really good body of work in there. I feel really good about him right now as a junior. Well, just having finished his junior year, targeting NAIA Division two schools really heavily. I think he would fit in well right now in those divisions based on what I see on the tape. And I did not have a problem with him. Now I want him to spend like 90% of his time there because I really think he can get some huge traction in those areas on those schools, and it gives him a good pool of schools to go after. But I also would not be against him doing some maybe regional FCS camps just to throw some flyers out there, and see if somebody would bite, just to get on a board and maybe get a visit out of it, maybe even if it's a game day visit or something like that, if they just want to track his progress his senior year type deal. But the core of his outreach, I had him really spending a lot of his time in NAIA Division two.
Okay. And what do you feel like he needs to do this upcoming off season and season to really put himself in a position to solidify himself as more of an FCS and maybe even a G5 player?
Yeah, I think FCS, just to get to FCS, conversation, I really want him to put on some weight. Like I said, I think he's about 175, maybe, whatever the case may be there. I'm not totally sure. I'm just ballparking it, looking at the tape. I'd like to see him do. I told him just the core, bigger, faster, stronger. Okay, like some guys have some really good tools, and that's what they need to do. So I just gave him the core, bigger, faster, stronger motto this all season. Try to put on some good weight, just get bigger, stronger. Um, Also, I'd like to see him really work on his pocket presence and his footwork back there, moving around. Sometimes he doesn't have in other plays he doesn't have very much pressure, and sometimes his feet get in a bad position, when he's throwing the ball. But his arm talent, sometimes can make up for it. Whereas, on the next level, that may not be the case. So I would really like for him to get with someone on his pocket presence and his footwork, moving around in the pocket while keeping his eyes down the field and avoiding pressure, making off schedule plays. And then also just his core arm strength and mechanics. He shows really good accuracy right now. So if he can level up that arm strength, it's like a rubber band. You can stretch it a little ways, but obviously the wider you can stretch it, the more you can get in there. The longer he can push that ball down the field accurately, the more valuable you become at quarterback. Okay, if you're really accurate 30 and in, or 40 and in, or whatever the case may be, you're going to fall in a certain compartment when it comes to level of play. If you're accurate, and long, 45, 50, whatever the case may be like that. Now you're talking about, leveling up yourself as far as a quarterback. So also mentioned that, and some things he could do to get better. And again, he's got this whole off season, he's got the camp circuit, and he's got a whole nother year of tape left. So those are some things I told him that I thought that if he could show that they got, you know, exponentially better over this offseason and they showed up on tape next year, he may be able to level up the evaluation this time next year.
Beautiful. Awesome. Brian, appreciate you jumping on and sharing your thoughts. It's a really good evaluation. And for those of you that are interested in seeing if your son meets the criteria to have our team do a full professional evaluation, I'll leave a link in the description below. And if you got value from this video and you'd like to watch more videos like it, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification. And if you'd like to watch our last evaluation, then you're going to want to watch this video right here.